Google's Pixel 8 Pro is one of the most interesting devices that I've had the pleasure of reviewing on this channel, though it's been one of the most difficult. Not that this phone is bad by any means, and I'm sure after you watch this video you'll see exactly where I'm coming from, but it's probably the most complicated smartphone to recommend. Google has stacked the Pixel 8 Pro with incredible AI features, an amazing set of cameras, and this year have given us very polished hardware which feels really premium in the hand. Finally, when it comes to fit and finish, I can really say that this $1,000 flagship from Google feels the part. It has a stunning 2400 nit, high-resolution 1 to 120 Hz LTPO OLED display, which gives you amazing contrast levels, vivid colors, and is perfectly suitable for outdoor viewing. In fact, the display is so good that DxOMark ranked it #1 in its class, so don't just take my word for it. Thankfully this year though, the display is flat, which in my opinion gives a more usable screen area whilst mitigating accidental touches, and the rounded corners with even bezels makes this device on par with the competition. The only obstruction in this large 6.7-inch OLED panel is the front-facing hole-punch selfie camera. It's a 10.5 megapixel sensor capable of shooting 4K video up to 60 frames per second with phase detect autofocus. It gives you a really pleasing image with contrasty colors and is overall very usable straight out of the camera. And when it comes to video, the quality is pretty damn good. I've been pretty pleased with shooting on the Pixel 8 Pro no matter what sensor I'm using. The results have been solid, though I'm sure you can notice right now, in a little bit of a darker environment, there is this pretty weird auto face whitening feature. So I would just keep that in mind and be pretty cautious if you're doing any sort of serious work that involves using this camera for video. Since I don't think that there's a way that you can actually turn it off, I could be completely wrong, but I've looked through the settings and I can't find anything at all. The display is also housing a built-in fingerprint sensor. Despite it not being ultrasonic nor anywhere near as quick as Samsung's, I do find it to be pretty reliable, and I rarely ever have any hiccups with it. Though to top it off, there is even a 2D face scanning biometric option, which is now secure enough to be supported for unlocking banking apps or other secure applications. I actually do find it to work pretty well, even in poor lighting conditions, and I never really even had a problem with it. I'm really glad that there's two forms of authentication on this device because I'm someone who kind of doesn't like the fingerprint reader. So anywhere that I can get that face unlock, I'm pretty happy with it. Before we go further though, a like and a sub to the channel is always appreciated. We are very close to hitting 30,000 subscribers on this channel, and if we're able to do that before Christmas, I don't even know where I'd be able to start in saying thank you. Just thank you for all the love that you showed on the channel. It really does mean a lot. Anyways, let's get right back into it. Under the hood, we have 12 gigs of RAM and UFS 3.1 storage. Granted, with Tensor G3, we don't get the quickest storage in the world, but it is serviceable, and honestly, I don't really have any complaints. Transfer speeds through USB are very quick. The phone is able to maintain a lot of apps in memory and be able to resume them from where you left off. And honestly, when it comes to performance, everything's been pretty a-okay. Though I figured that I would bring this up now before you start drooling over the rest of the device and when I show you what it's actually capable of. The Tensor G3 is not a fast chip. It's not a powerhouse when it comes to GPU heavy workflows or CPU heavy workflows. It's not. When playing Diablo Immortal 3 on the Tensor G3, the phone is only able to achieve 30 frames per second, and if it was a stable 30 frames per second, I wouldn't be complaining, but you can feel the hiccups. To make matters worse, you're not able to unlock the frame rate or even bring it up to 60 to get a marginally better experience. So in short, the gaming experience of the Pixel 8 Pro is not really one to be desired. Even in games like Call of Duty Mobile, I can feel the phone struggling, not only in the frame rate, but the thermals as well. Now, the last thing that I want to do is come out here and tell you that the Pixel 8 Pro has really bad thermal management, because it doesn't. I've only really found this phone to get hot during two scenarios. One, during the setup, and also when I'm playing very intensive games. This phone does not overheat. It honestly doesn't even get relatively warm. Surprisingly, the Pixel 8 Pro has been a pretty damn good experience right out of the box. Though this does lead to an argument that I did want to make, and it's one of the reasons why I spent a lot more time with the Pixel before I decided to tackle it for this YouTube video. I do not think that the Pixel should be purchased with the intent to play moderately demanding games. I do not think that the Tensor G3 is enough or anywhere near as capable to handle some of the mobile titles that have come out in recent years, especially when it comes to games like Genshin Impact. While the G3 is a pretty wild improvement over the G2, I would still not suggest it, as There's better and far more powerful devices in this price range, like the iPhone 15 Plus or the S23 Plus that boast a much more powerful SoC, like the 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy and the A16 Bionic. Where the Pixel really shines though is in a few major categories for me. Cameras, battery life, software, and AI. Yeah, AI, I get it. I didn't think that I would jump on this bandwagon at all, but it's pretty cool. There's so many features that the Pixel brings along into its clean Android 14 skin that have made this device a must for me. Things like call screening, which allow you to, well, screen your call and get a chance to hear and listen to whatever's on the end of the line without having to pick up the phone. You can even give them prompts like, "Who is this?" or "Why are you calling?" and allow yourself to steer clear of scammers or telemarketers and keep them off the line so that you don't have to put yourself in an annoying or awkward situation. There's even this thing called Hold for Me, which lets you know that a representative is ready to speak, so you can just jump on the line. And my favorite feature is audio transcriptions, more specifically in the Recorder app. I'm someone who uses the Voice Memos app a lot on my device. If I have a good hook or idea for a video, I'll say it out loud into my phone because it just helps it stick, and it's easier than jumping into notes and typing it out. But the best thing about having this device transcribe it for you is that you can easily copy and paste what's been said or read it over to reference it rather than have to listen to it over and over if you plan on rewriting it for a script per se. It's features like these that have just made the Pixel experience so damn good, and that's why I've been using it as my daily driver. But it doesn't even begin to end there. And if I wanted to make a video covering all of these AI features, I'd probably be here for a couple of hours. Things like Magic Eraser with Generative Fill, which allow you to more accurately remove a subject from an image, or even move it around or change its size. We have the ability to change the position of clouds in the sky and change the time of day it was taken, turning any shot into a golden hour shot. And when watching videos that don't have captions, you have the ability to give live transcriptions. It also translates it. While there is a slight delay though, it is still very impressive. When I use a device like this, I really feel like Google has thought about the end user experience. And it's features like these that I find really hard to give up and move back to pretty much just any other ordinary smartphone. Like, I hadn't even realized how much I utilize some of what the Pixel is capable of until I picked up another device. That being said though, pick up another device? I have not. The Pixel 8 Pro is one that I've been honestly falling in love with, and I can really see myself using this until the next flagship comes around that I have to review. I don't think that I've ever gone out and instinctively taken pictures with my phone just because I wanted to. I've always done it because I've had to, like when I shoot camera comparisons or photos for these reviews. But I find myself wandering the streets of Toronto taking photos of the architecture or the skyline from the top of a mountain, or even my dog. Lots and lots of photos of my dog. Isn't she cute though? Anyways, the Pixel 8 Pro has 3 main cameras, and they're all pretty damn good. It has a 50 megapixel main sensor, a 48 megapixel 5x telephoto, and a 48 megapixel ultra-wide, all with phase detect autofocus, and 2, the telephoto and the main sensor with optical image stabilization. When I tell you that these cameras are a joy to use, I mean it. The colors, the depth of field, the sharpness, while it may not be the best at each and every single category individually, I think the Pixel does the best job at bringing them together. With these cameras, you're getting a very pleasing, natural feeling image that has a sense of character, not just some flat, technically accurate image on a spec sheet. Every single shot that I've taken on this device would have been worthy sharing it right out of camera. Though one thing that I've been loving doing is shooting in RAW with Pro Mode on the Pixel 8 Pro and taking the images over to Lightroom and editing them on my iPad. The Pixel retains so much information in its RAW images that you can push them in an edit really far without tearing it apart completely. This is hands down the best camera system that I've ever used on a smartphone. And it's one that I'm really happy I get to just carry around in my pocket everywhere I go. Anyways, here's video from the rear camera on the Google Pixel 8 Pro. As you can tell, it's a lot sharper than the front-facing camera, and I actually think that it's a very viable option for any sort of content creation. Everything just pops, and I don't see any things like jitter or any other problems that I've seen on other Android devices. So when it comes to using this footage for like my YouTube channel, for example, I wouldn't have any problem at all, and I'd be quite happy with it. And I promise you, I'm not a Pixel fanboy. I hated the Pixel 7 Pro. Though I think my absolute favorite part about the Pixel has got to be the software. I mean, this is kind of what you're buying the device for at the the end of the day. Google's stock Android. And on Android 14, the Pixel 8 Pro is an absolute treat. Now we have the ability to customize our lock screen, our shortcuts, and even make a wallpaper with AI. Okay, I'll be honest, that feature does kind of suck. It pumps out pretty low-res clusterfucks of some pre-made prompts, but it does ensure that you'll always have a unique wallpaper that nobody else in the world has, which I do think is pretty cool. In general though, the Pixel UI is really smooth and responsive, but it also makes sense. You have search on the bottom, which allows you to look through your entire device and search Google with one press. It even includes Google Lens and Google Assistant. On the left side, you have Google Now, which gives you pretty relevant and interesting topics, at least from my experience. It's been a nice place to go when something like Twitter is running dry. And you get the freedom of placing apps everywhere you'd like to, unlike iOS, but I'm a huge fan of the app drawer. It sorts things alphabetically, which is nice, and you get accustomed to the placement of the applications that you're looking for. However, it also puts your 4 most recent apps on the top, which is something that I've just found to be really clever and useful. Everything has just made sense in Android 14, and I really like it. This device also has really good haptics, which basically let you feel almost every action. Close an app, you feel it. Write a text, you feel it. Bring up a quick action from the lock screen, you feel it. This phone is littered with physical responses, which just make it feel like you're actually interacting with it, and I'm all for that. Obviously, other phones have haptics, but these are just on another level. Lastly though, we get to talk about the battery. I'll be honest, going into it, I wasn't expecting this phone to keep up with me, but it learned my usage patterns and became a bit more stable, and I'm fully comfortable using this device as my daily driver. I don't think that 9 hours of screen time is pretty far-fetched at all, though I am someone who tends to put around 2 to 4 on a heavy day. Though for me, I don't tend to charge my phone at nighttime, so I do like when it lasts throughout maybe half of the next day or so, and the Pixel has been able to keep up with that. It's not at 15 Pro Max level, don't get me wrong, and it definitely isn't the best battery in any smartphone. But it is something that I'm pretty confident in saying is going to last you and isn't going to be a headache at all. This is one area though that I would like to see Google improve in the future, because this is a 5050 milliamp hour battery, and I feel like it could just perform a little bit better. Okay, now that we're done here though, would I recommend the Pixel 8 Pro? Chances are, if you're watching this video, you've probably already been interested in this device, and perhaps I even sold it on you a little bit more. But if you're just watching this video because you're curious about this device, I would have no problem recommending it if you're someone who doesn't do anything like gaming on your device. If you're looking for a cheaper option, the smaller Pixel 8 is definitely a good choice. It has the same primary camera, a little bit of a smaller display with a lower brightness, a smaller battery, but overall retains pretty much everything that I spoke so highly about when it comes to this Pixel 8 Pro. Anyways, I'm out. I'm gonna go take some more photos with this Pixel outside. If you liked the video, leave a like down below, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.